Look at this. How crazy is that? This is exactly what happened. I had this confirmation right here. I'm very comfortable taking this trade. It happens very often. It ended up being the trade of the day. I took a 40% return. That's $2,000 you just made in less than a minute. I want to share with you the trade that I did today that exemplifies what I do. It's how I trade, how I look for trades. And you guys are going to find your own edge, and that's fine, right? I'm here to provide tools, and then you use it to find your trade or just use my trade. Let me share my screen. So 8:30 this morning, right? We had and CPI is one of the biggest news makers. Plus, we have Chairman Powell speaking. So we had a lot going on this morning, starting at 8:30. You need to be aware of that. And so this morning, I was quite aware of that. And I'm not saying not to trade, but you want to let that happen first. And then you go in there and pick up the pieces and make the money. And that's exactly what I did. This is the 1 minute chart. And this is 8:30. Look at this. How crazy is that? So you got to be careful when that happens. But as the market goes down, what tends to happen? Right? But how do we know it's not a fake out? Because look what happened here. Had you jumped in here thinking you're going to make money, it could have come down and done that. So you got to be patient and just wait for your confirmations. I had this confirmation right here, and it ended up being the trade of the day, meaning it has not come back to that area. And it's a beautiful thing when that happened. But how much of that do you think I took? I only took 40%. I took a 40% return because the market is what direction is the market telling you at that time, not here. Forget, because you would not have seen this, but what's the market telling you more than likely? What's going on? The market is bearish, and I'm going against the market. So I have to make sure, I put a video out on Tesla taking a trade. I never took the trade on Tesla. The night before I looked at it, I thought it might turn around at 345, I think it was, but I ended up not taking the trade just because the candle was moving right and I didn't get any more confirmation using the smaller time frame. So I said, you know what? No, I'm not liking it. So I backed away from the trade. Even though the night before I was pretty excited to take it, but that's why I said, let's see what happens at 9:30. When the market opened up, I just said, no, I don't trust it. Same with here. But the difference is I had my 3 confirmations, which I'm going to show you guys. So the market came down and I waited until 9:30 to see what would happen. So this is the 1 minute chart, and this was 9:25. I was watching it and wondering what would happen. Now, why did I like this area to begin with in the first place? Why would I even take a trade here? Well, very simple. When you go to the 1 hour chart, which as I've mentioned to you before, I like to start out with the 1 hour chart and look at the big picture. So this had shot down, and I just went and did a Fibonacci from here to there just to see where the market was going. And the market retraced 88%. And I've mentioned that's one of the lines. You guys can see the number here, where the market tends to retrace a lot, especially after a big drop like this. And so I had the notion that, and we've spoken about this before, when the market tends to break a line like this and then turn around on that line, if it comes back, what might happen? It could touch that line or that area and continue back. So this is exactly what happened. So I had that 88% Fibonacci line there. And when I looked at this area here, I said, okay, it might come there, it might not. I didn't know. I mean, that's just one Fibonacci. The trade had already came and happened before 9:30. And I normally don't trade before 9:30 because 9:30 is very volatile. I want to make sure the volatility has subsided somewhat before I get involved in that trade, or at least have pre-confirmations after 9:30. So after that, I went to the 1 minute chart to quickly see what the market was doing. And so with the 1 minute chart, when the market came to this area, it blew by it. It went right by it. So this is what I'm talking about. As I mentioned, if you have a line like this and the market comes down past that line and goes back up, if it comes back to that line, if you can get 2 other confirmations, okay, so this is 1 confirmation. If you can get 2 others for a total of 3 confirmations, confirmation, that's a great trade. Consider that trade. And your stop loss would be very tiny. So with the four things we always look for, first of all, the three confirmations. Now, you're going to have to take my word for it because as I've mentioned to you guys, I want you guys to do the 21 trades in a row, or you're going to wait a little bit of time. It's my way to hold it over your head with the fib extension. But with the fib extension tool from here and anchor it here, I had a hit right here at 60.2375. It was almost bang on. So that was my second confirmation. So this blue line, this area, this blue line, if it comes back to that, that's one confirmation. And the Fibonacci extension is another one. And then I decided to take a Fibonacci from here to here. Now, before I do that, remember, with the tools we have, you can try different things, whether it's the reverse Fibonacci to see if you can get a hit on the area. And with the reverse Fibonacci, it's pretty darn close as well. So let me show you. You got the 11% right there when you anchor that 23 line right there. And you guys can go and do this on your own and see how amazing, even the reverse Fibonacci, how it works. But that's not what I use. I use the Fibonacci extension, but use any of the 5 tools to get that 3 confirmations. And there are some confirmations that are stronger. There are some that aren't. If the confirmation is strong, now what's a strong confirmation? When it's in a tight area, tight zone, I like it. If it's in a big zone and I have to put a bigger stop loss, typically we'll shy away from it. But I went and I took a Fibonacci from here to this high because that was the high at the time. Remember, this area here was not there yet. So the market came down. And when it did, it was right after 9:30. I was taking a little bit of a risk. I don't like to trade that close to the 9:30 bell. I like to give it a couple of minutes, but I took the risk just because the area was so tight. And this is my trade. I do this trade a lot. It's one of my trades anyway. I take this trade very often. I'm very comfortable taking this trade. It happens very often. And so I had my 3 confirmations in a very tight area. My stop loss was very tight. And I ended up getting out with a 40% return. Once again, you always want to use the Fibonacci to get out with your profit. Wherever the market ends up, you want to make sure that you use the Fibonacci to get out. And so I ended up getting out at a 38. And I took the 38 just because it was so volatile. I figure I would take the risk, but rest assured my stop loss had moved in. And once it got to the 11, I was already here. Once it got to the 23, I put my stop loss there and then I rode it to the 38 and I took a 40% return. I wasn't sure if the market was going to go up. It did happen to be the trade of the day, as I said, meaning it never came back to that low, which is really cool when you make a prediction like that. But the market could easily have gone up and then done this instead of going up. So you always want to be conservative. Take the profit. Yeah, I know it sucks. You're thinking, oh man, look how much it went up. That's crazy, right? That's a lot of money. Yeah, but if you're conservative, and I mean, let's be real, 40% is nothing to sneeze about. And if you're playing with a couple of $1,000, that's $800. If you're playing with $5 grand, that's $2 grand you just made in less than a minute. As you can see, it just shot up.